As always, I'm going to ask you guys to mark up levels where you think support resistance are, or try to explain what is price doing at certain levels. And then we're going to take the trades together. So at any point you want to take a trade, just unmute and say like, I want to take a trade here with your stop loss and TP levels. We're going to start off with a daily time frame. I'm going to move this onto the other screen. We're going to start off with the daily time frame, take a look at what's happening here. So what's the apparent support and resistance levels that you see here? And you could just annotate.
Did we start already?
Yeah, we've started. So just where do you think the support and resistance levels are? Yep, so we have a resistance up top here. And where's the support level? We have one here, but there's a more apparent one. This is where price broke out of, right? This entire area. So right into this area, you have a ton of consolidation happening right into the zone before finally price breaks out of it. So this entire area right here, before price finally breaks out of it. And once it does, we see a nice push from the downside, comes back up, retraces right into that area, gives you a higher low, and then price continues bullish after that. Now we start to see that there's a clear resistance being made, there's a pullback happening, perhaps somewhere into these areas. So now what we're looking for is price going to consolidate into this area and then push up, or is price going to push back down right here to respect this broken resistance that you marked up initially, Mari B? So once it breaks above that, comes back to retest it and then continues bullish. So that's what we're looking at. But clearly the trend here is bullish at the moment. Make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
So as we drop down to the 4-hour, what we're looking at is pretty much the same thing. Let me zoom out a little bit more. Take a look at what's the overall structure here. So even if I just do it from right here, we have a bullish structure. So at every point, what we have is price testing the structure, comes back down, tests the low here again, pushes bullish, breaks out of this resistance here finally, creating a new high. We see a pullback right into this area, consolidation, and then you see a pushback up, right? Coming back to revisit the highs here. It's the same exact thing that we did down here, right? Where price made a low, pushed up, tapped into a resistance, came back down, tested the same exact lows. We have the same exact thing here, but inverted, where price pushed bullish, created a high, pulls back right into this area. So notice how every time price pulls into this area, there's a lot of consolidation, but there's volume that follows, right? There's volume that follows. Same thing here, there's volume right here. So once price tapped into it, there was good volume to the upside to test the highs again, comes back, same thing, we're consolidating into the same exact area. Finally, we push up, creating a new high, comes back to test the structure here. And now we have new highs being formed as we're testing structure. So we know from this analysis that we've done so far, we know that price is going to continue pushing bullish because we are on a bullish structure. In order for price to drop back down and for us to look for any sells, what we need to see is price breaking out of structure. A breakout of structure would be somewhere below this area. So price breaking here gives you a retest and then continues back down bearish. This is pretty much where your entry is going to be. This is where you're going to look for your sell confirmations. Make sense?
Yes.
Any questions so far?
Not for me.
All right. So we have the bullish structure, and now we're going to do the same exact thing where it's, all right, what are the support resistance that we're looking at? So if you think that we've already marked it up, that's fine as well. Or if you see another one, then you could just annotate. So I'll just give you guys a couple of seconds here to see if you want to annotate and mark up any other levels. So it seems like we already have the levels marked up, right? Would you guys agree?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
if you got the-
There's a,
go ahead.
what do you say? Maybe this one right here. Oh, where am I? Give me a second.
Yeah, so we have that consolidation happening right there as well. So if price breaks below this, then we have a nice sell because this is where we're looking for the structure break. So if price breaks below this, gives you a retest right into that area and continues down, that's the structure break. So that's what we're looking for. But as of right now, we see that price is clearly still respecting that area. We want to see if it's going to continue down. If it continues down, then we have sells below this. Sounds good?
Yeah.
All right. Let's drop down. Oh, I don't think I brought up the 4-hour chart. Give me a second here. All right, give me 1 second here. Let me fix this. All right, so this is the 4-hour chart that we have. So let me just clone these again. So this is currently where price is sitting. So that would be another support that we have being formed. All right. All right, so that's our 4-hour chart right here. There we go. So this is our 4-hour chart. That was the hourly chart that we have. But pretty much same exact levels, even on the 4-hour. The consolidation area that we had identified, same exact thing right about here. So we're trying to see, is price going to break below that? Is it going to continue bearish? And if it does, then that's our sell opportunity. So we're trying to see, is it going to break below this, give us a retest right into that consolidation, and then continue back down, and we have nice sell opportunities. So far we have the daily time frame, we have the hourly 4-hour time frame lining up. Let's take a look at the 30-minute. So I'm going to zoom out. We're going to take a look at the structure here again. Same thing on the 30-minute time frame. We got that bullish structure. We're sitting at a key level. So this is where either price is testing the low as it did at these levels. So this is either where price is testing the lows, and then either we continue bullish and there's going to be some volume that comes, because as you can see, every time price tests the low, there's volume that follows, right? So we have that. So we're sitting at a low at the moment. We're trying to see, is price going to continue bullish? If it does, we may potentially see volume, but if it breaks below this structure, we're looking for a retest and continuation down for sells. We have Stefanos here. Welcome, Stefanos.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How's everyone doing?
Good.
Can you hear me? There we go.
We got the YouTube stars.
I appreciate it. How's everyone doing? I apologize, I'm a little late. I was just dropping my fiance off. Hit a little traffic on the way back. You guys doing a lot of back testing?
Yeah, we're doing back testing. So usually the way that we do this is I'll start off from different time frames, start off with the daily time frame, and then I ask the team, like, where do you guys think the support resistance is? And we talk through that. And then if there's anything different that I see, or if I see the same exact thing, then just going through like a quick explanation that this is what I see, this is what price is doing. So far we went through the daily time frame, 4-hour, and just the 1-hour time frame. What we have is that clear support that's being made now. So that was a resistance in the past. Price broke through it, got a nice retest, continuing bullish, and then you have a resistance at the moment. Same exact thing on the 4-hour. So we could go through this one more time. Let's go through it together. How about that?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out when this is. Is this maybe 2 months ago, or maybe a month ago?
February.
February. Okay, yeah, a couple months ago. That sounds
Yeah.
about right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is in February. So what do you think about the levels here that we have marked up?
I like them. I mean, would you be able to zoom out a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Is there any other data to the left?
Oh,
Let
just
me
this.
just make this smaller, like the video. All right. Yeah, obviously price is at a significant level right now, rejecting multiple times. But it does look bearish. Obviously, we're in a bullish trend on the higher time frames. I normally, in this instance, I look for some kind of support to be created to then come up and retest that high. So,
Right.
but on the lower time frames, we just got to see what's going on. We may have opportunities for sales, being that it is bearish on the daily.
Yep.
So,
So what I'm seeing is overall we're in a bullish structure. We broke out of that, but
Mhm.
clearly we're sitting at that key level, exactly what you said. So when we drop down to lower time frames, like the 4-hour, what we see is right at that level, we have a ton of rejection already happening here. So this was support that was formed previously. We pushed up bullish,
Mm.
and then once price tried to break out of a resistance here, it came right back down. So instead of what the market did is it gave us a little fake out, consolidated, and now it's starting to push back down. So now when I look at the 4-hour time frame and I zoom out,
it looks like the way it does on at 152 right now.
yeah, exactly that. So what I see is we're still in a bullish structure. We have price testing the lows here, right? And then once it continues bullish, tapping into the same exact area, creates a new high, pulls back. What I see is at this exact area, whenever price taps into it, whether it's as a support, resistance, any of that, there's a ton of volume that follows. So that tells me that this level or this zone, this region is a liquidity area. So it's a sensitive area where price comes, grabs liquidity, and there's a ton of volume that follows.
Yep.
And then after that, price comes back up, exactly what we did down here, but inverted version of it, which is double top right there, right? So price keeps tapping into it over and over again, comes back, and we have this kind of like test of the low of the structure, or you could say coming back to grab liquidity again, any of that. And then once price pushes bullish, again, you have a new high being formed, coming back, testing low, and then same exact thing here. So we're sitting at a crucial level where price is testing the lows. For me to think that this is gonna, break the structure and continue back down bearish, I needed to clear out this little consolidation that we have. What do you think?
That makes a lot of sense. I mean, besides, I would say about the last month where we've been consolidating, maybe the last like month and a half. Right before that, the previous months, previous weeks, just like you said, we've been creating these highs and then coming down, creating a support, maybe consolidating for a little bit, and then coming right back up to retest those highs on the higher time frame. So right now, it looks like it's doing that right now. We're at a key level. I didn't see this trend that we were in on the daily, but it was a little bit more difficult to see, but now you see it. It's creating these higher highs, higher lows. These new lows are over here creating a support and then continuing up. So right now it looks like it's going to do the same thing.
Right.
You could even bring your trend line in a little bit more, and then that's a very key level right there where you circled. Actually, you guys can't see my mouse, but
Yeah, you feel free to annotate.
oh yeah, it's not going to be much different than what you're doing. I mean, this was the trend right over here, and it looks like we broke it a little bit. Now, when I'm calling tops like this, I have a strict rule when it comes to that. I want to wait for some kind of a retest of that nearest support before you take any kind of sales,
Right.
Or if that is the trend line right over there like that, then I would want some kind of a support to form. Price comes up, retest that trend line, or something like that. And then price just heads down. You get clear candles closing in your direction, wait for your confirmations, and then take it down. But I see what you're saying about this level right here. This
Right.
consolidation, actually, it's not narrow. This consolidation right there. You want price to clear out of that because you got a clean move to the left right here.
Right. And so once that's cleared out, that's a consolidation area again, right? So as we saw, same exact thing on this level, where price keeps consolidating, tapping into it for like liquidity. I see the same exact thing happening here, where if price breaks below this, I want to see a retest right into this level somewhere. And then once it clears it out, you have clean volume to the downside. So this could be your like first partial, first TP, any of that. And then you could target some of these other levels and then finally coming down to like 140 flat, right? There's really nothing stopping it until 140 flat, which is exactly where price keeps tapping into in the past over and over again.
Absolutely.
And then dropping down to the 1 hour, we have the same exact thing. So zooming out, you have that bullish structure. You're sitting at that key level. And if I zoom in a little bit more just to see the candles, what I see is price tapping into that previous area that it rejected with this candle.
Yeah, I'm seeing lower highs too.
Yeah. So this
So
is
yeah, you got a clean move to the left once that breaks for a quick scalp. This area right here. Obviously, this is that order block, but if you wait for some kind of a retest right here, take this right down and mirror these candles, get at least how many pips do we have here? Well, this is the 1 hour, so you probably got like 50, 60 pips.
yeah. So if you clear this out, coming like all
Yeah,
the way down.
60 pips, 69. Yep. So
Yep.
you could definitely grab that move. You got clear candles to mirror. That's perfect for me.
Yeah. And then after that 70, you take your partials. Obviously, you would look for, lower highs, lower lows to be made again. You have clean moves coming down for almost 285 pips. Once this is cleared out.
Nice range.
Yeah, once that's cleared out. So
Yeah.
at the moment, we're sitting at a key level. So what I want to see is either price rejecting this area. Here we go. So either price rejecting this area completely, closing bullish. So if I zoom in a little bit more, what we have is this hourly candle breaking the highs, testing some levels down here. So I want to see this candle closing bullish and the next one to continue after that. What I want to see specifically is this support here being broken, or this resistance here being broken and then retested as a new support. And then as it continues, then look for that buy opportunity.
100%, preferably a candle closing above that area would be
Absolutely.
ideal. And then, I mean, you're still in a bearish trend though, creating these lower highs. So, I mean, safe buys are obviously going to be once we break this, continue up, maybe break this level and continue up. That'll be a nice swing for you. But, you could definitely, if you get like a retest of this area right here, you could definitely take this up.
Yep. So just,
I mean, I would lower risk on that, but being that we're in an overall bullish trend, that might be valid to take something above this.
yeah. And another confirmation, just not, only looking at support or anything like that, is this was a level that price struggled to break. And once it did break, it consolidated here again. You see that massive liquidity wick to the downside and then some nice volume to the upside, right? Same thing here, right? You have support being formed over and over again, but once it breaks for about 4 or 5 hours in a row, price struggled to break. It just consolidated, right? There was very low volume. And then once it did break, you have a little support being formed here again. So clearly you're sitting at another crucial level.
100%. I just messed up my screen. Here we go, full screen. There we go. You don't use the this thing right here. I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing.
This one right here?
Yeah.
No, I want to zoom in, zoom out. It's just, this one's kind of easier for me.
No, yeah, 100%. That makes sense. I mean, obviously everyone has their prerogatives. I always like it where the price is a little bit more to the left, but obviously it doesn't matter. No, you don't have to do it.
Oh, good, it's good.
All right, cool.
All right, so same exact thing here, even on the 30-minute. So we're getting confirmations. The key point here that I want everyone to kind of notice is that you're getting the same confirmation from daily time frame coming down to 4 hour, 1 hour, and 30-minute. So when you get the same exact confirmation on the same levels across time frames like that, just know that those are very important levels. And usually when price rejects those levels or continues bullish, bearish, whatever it may be, there's going to be a lot of volume that follows after that. So when I'm in a situation like this, while I'm live trading, I'd rather wait for that level to be broken. So if price is just consolidating here, I'm not trying to look for, oh, price is consolidating, you have lower lows, lower highs, right? This like minor trend that we see, I'm looking at that, but it's not like I'm going to look for a sell here because I think it's going to continue down. I have lower lows, lower highs. You just haven't broken those key levels just yet though, right? And that's the important thing to notice. So once you break those key levels, you have like almost 300 pip range, 285 pips, right? So you rather wait for that than try to catch it at like a sniper entry where you know price goes the other way. It's not a sniper entry anymore, right?
I mean, patience is key in this game, and you're trying to grab those sniper entries. For the most part, those sniper entries are not when you're waiting. They're emotional trades, and I know it sounds fancy, it sounds cool, but you know you're gonna lose a lot doing that.
Yeah. So this game is all about like patience. Like that's the only way that you're gonna win here, right? So look at it from a very objective manner. Look at it from a very analytical manner. That what is the price doing? It's never about what do you want the price to do or what do you want the market to do. Just because you know we see, Stefanos has clearly identified that we're in a little bit of downtrend here. All of that we see all of it, but also we need to make sure that we're waiting until those levels are being broken or those levels are being tested.
Absolutely. Just gotta sit and wait. I like that little analogy you guys make for the patience.
Yeah. One of the students, actually, Chris, I don't know if he's in here. Let me see. But he came up with that. It's
I like
patient.
it. I like
Yeah.
it. I've said it a couple of times. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So 30-minute, we're seeing the same exact thing. Nothing really different on the 15 either. So on the 15, what I see is a little bit of consolidation here, a ton of volume that follows. But what we're seeing for the most part here is price is simply just retesting this area over and over again. So this is just like a little consolidation zone that we're in. Exactly what we talked about, Stefanos and I, that we want to see a clear break above this area. We want to see a clear break above the consolidation. We want to see a retest and then continuation bullish. So for me, Stefanos, sometimes when price breaks out of consolidation like that, after it's retesting some key levels that we see across time frames. So once it breaks out of that, sometimes I obviously want to see like a candle closing, but sometimes I'll be okay with, for example, a bottom wick rejection and then continuation bullish.
I was just gonna say that. Yeah, I'm looking at something like, depending on what session this is, if we get a nice clean close above this resistance over here, and then the next candle comes down, creates a bottom wick, and then as soon as it flips bullish, you can enter one entry, and then once it passes the previous, you can enter another one, and you get a clean move to the left. Again, depending on what session this is, but and then how much pips you have in this range, or how many pips you have in that range, that's going to be your your area to trade. But if this is Asian, I'm going to wait for that clean retest.
Absolutely. All right, so we're coming down to the 15-minute. Does anyone have any questions so far? I'm going to pull up Forex Factory here for the same date because I'm using a MetaTrader, so the simulator doesn't let me pull up news. It says it's not available for it.
If you go to the data center, you can download the news.
Okay, so I'll do that for our next.
Yeah, next time. But it's in there for you. I had trouble with it too, but it's pretty convenient having that there.
Awesome. All right, so I'm gonna February.
I'm just seeing the chat now. What's going on, guys? Everyone getting that work in the week, huh? Love it.
All right, so we got Forex Factory. So the date that we're on here is actually February 4th. So that's what we're looking at. What we have is GBP news coming out. So you have interest rates that came out in February. I just say, just act like you don't see the actual. Just act like you see the previous and the forecast. But during that time, what we do know is that the economic state of GBP was still that there were the leaders in mass vaccinations, right? So we went over all this stuff. Mass vaccinations that brought in a lot of optimism because from an investor perspective, a country that has a better control on their vaccines, a better control on the amount of cases that are coming out, that's the country that is looked at as stronger, right? That's where the investors want to go and invest their money. So we know that that's what the economic state was. So there was a lot of optimism around it. And even during this time, even like post Brexit, and still pretty fresh at that time, but post Brexit, there was still the optimism that the government is injecting more money into the economy, right? So the government was actually paying, like, I think it was like 80% of people's salary at that time. And then 20% was like if you were on training or something like that. But they were literally paying people to get more skills, the government. So
Yeah.
that brings in more optimism, because that's the government preparing their people for the post-Brexit not post-Brexit, the post-COVID consequences, which is there's going to be a huge shift, and people know that, in jobs, right? People do want to work from home. People, the jobs they're going to be looking for, or employers are going to be looking for workers who have technical skills, who can work computers, who can work from home. So we had a ton of optimism at that time.
It's super important in any economy, especially in like, I'm thinking, like, I don't know about you, but are you seeing like inflation coming in?
Mm-hmm.
I hear a lot of people talking about it now. I've been like thinking it and saying it, but now I'm starting to hear like bigger names, bigger people talking about it. And now it's, you're starting to think twice about it. But in any time of, economic uncertainty or mass inflation, hyperinflation, the people that have skills that could bring something to the table, that's who you want to be. Because if you can't bring anything to the table, no one wants to pay you. Yeah. So it's,
any times of crisis, right? So you look at any of the post crisis that have happened, economic crisis, financial crisis, you look at like the .com, all of that, like whatever happened, right? You look at all of it, we're seeing the same exact signs over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of like assets being hyped up, for example, inflation coming into play. So the more money that you keep injecting into the economy, the looser you keep your monetary policies, inflation is going to increase.
oh yeah.
Right? Interest rates are the main tools that fight against inflation.
Absolutely. It's basically one of the only tools, unless like you minimize the amount of people in it that are in here. I guess, I don't know, deport or whatever you want to do, but that's obviously not feasible. But like, the only thing to help, like when they're printing all this money, if you got all this inflation coming in, you need people to come into the country to, devalue that dollar a little bit, or, increase the value of the dollar a little bit, and getting more people spending money. But, how are you going to do that? That's where they're starting to let people into the country. And they keep saying that they're not going to see inflation. They don't see inflation coming in. Janet Yellen came out the other day. She had to retract her statement. Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah. So these are the things that we keep seeing over and over again. So it's not anything that's new, but the basic understanding here is you keep injecting more money, and you can't increase interest rates right now. They can't make it like more expensive for people to borrow, right? That's just not on the table at the moment, because the economy is not there just yet. So we know at this point, the only optimism that we were seeing from the pound perspective was that they have a good handle on their vaccines. They were getting a majority of their people vaccinated, and the fact that they were already talking about opening up the economy at that point. So we know that we had that optimism coming from there. And then, yeah, so this is Thursday going into Friday. So you have a ton of USD news coming out as well at New York Open. And then Governor Bailey speaking again on Friday. And this is the non-farm that we had.
Yep.
So that was a non-farm week. So that's the fundamental aspect of it. So just making sure that we understand the economic side, we understand what's happening. Yeah, so the interest rates is what we're looking at, but we know that that was going to be maintained. Right.
It's awesome how you can recall, what was going on during each week.
Mm-hmm.
It's just pretty ingrained in your head.
Yes. Yeah. So every week, my goal isn't to like, you don't have to remember like every single data. I don't need to like remember what was the household spending for Japan, for example. Yeah. I just need to know like what is the sentiment of the consumer, what's the sentiment of an investor, and what's happening economically in that country. So that's all I need to know. And
Yeah.
that's what these data are telling me. So when unemployment claims, for example, when they increase, I'm trying to understand what's happening from an economic perspective.
Mm.
For me, consumer is always in the middle of the economy, right? That they're the ones that kind of spur up the economic activity or slow down the economic activity, and then you have a rippling effect
Yep.
in the economy. So I'm trying to understand from a consumer perspective what's happening there, from an investor perspective what's happening there.
Yep.
And that's how I'm piecing all this together, all this data. All right, so now let's go ahead and do some simulation here. Now that we looked at the
It's awesome. Someone just sent the link. Warren Buffett talking about inflation. Yeah, man. The big names and the people that, where their opinion matters.
Yeah.
Are saying some things and starting to worry me a little bit. But whatever it is, you grow your skill, you bring something to the table, and you worry about yourself. Don't look at outside things, and
absolutely.
it'll be good. Don't let
That
it
should be your
get to you.
main focus.
Oh, 100%. Look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so
Damn,
Let
I
me
gotta
know.
get used to this. You like to back test quick, huh?
yeah, let me know like if it's too fast or anything.
No. I'll just get used to it.
All right,
I mean, I've done it like this before. It's just I'm so used to doing it maybe like half this time. And sometimes I get those quality sessions in where like you sit there for 2 or 3 hours, unless price is ranging, then you just fast forward to the range. But I'll sit there for a couple hours and just watch it go. That was kind of more before starting the mentorship. I don't have as much time to do that anymore, but it's very, very good practice to have.
absolutely. Just do simulations. I mean, you don't have to do like soft FX. You have like trading view, for example, just going back and looking at what did price do at certain levels. So even when, for example, one of the students that asked me, we were doing a London session, I believe, and one of the students told me, they were like, yeah, usually when I'm sitting here alone trading, I'm just, trying to do something else, right? Or like or like it was something along the lines of that. And that's what, like I told him, I was like, well, when I'm sitting there and I see price consolidating or doing any of that, I'm trying to see what is the story that price is telling me, right? So just look back. What did price do? Did it do something similar like in the past, right? Looking at like whatever's happened to the left. Did it do something similar? Is price rejecting certain levels, right? Is volume dying down? Things like that.
Yeah, always ask yourself why. That's in every aspect of life, right? But
Yep.
Especially in trading, like why is this move happening? Especially when it comes to the fundamental side of it.
Right.
You see big candles. Okay, why did that just happen? Why did we get that push? Okay, volume time, 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got some volume coming at 8:15. All right, buyers, sellers coming into the market. They want to start a war. Let's go, and then they then they go off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then we just hop on the ride.
Yep. So right now, what I kind of see happening is price just consolidating down here. And then we saw price breaking out of it, respecting previous highs, comes back, and it seems like it's kind of just retesting the area. Seems like it's usually when price is making that type of a bottom wick rejection like that and keeps fluctuating, it doesn't usually just drop back down. Usually in my experience, that's the market trying to grab liquidity from that consolidation.
Yep.
So I do anticipate some like massive movement coming, some good volume coming. But again, I wouldn't look for a trade until this level here is broken.
Exactly. Yeah, if this closes bullish, that'd be interesting. You know,
Yeah.
nice hard rejection. What time frame is? Oh, 15. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's struggling right now.
Yeah.
Oh, so 5 ticks per second. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's. I do the real time. Do you see how it's on like you have two
Yeah.
options? I don't know the difference. I can't tell, but I just put on the real time and I do like times 8 or 11. Sometimes like 29, 28. It gives you like random numbers. We're gonna hold the support.
Seems like it, yeah. So if this support is being held, then we're definitely we're gonna have a ton of volume. This is all consolidation. This is market collecting orders.
Yep.
Higher time. You have price that's struggling to break, specifically right into this area. Once it does, this is where you have like sell orders coming in. Same thing again here, right? So instead of just continuing, giving you a nice retest and continuing, the market, it has to keep trying to collect orders, right? So that tells me that the market's struggling to break some of these areas over and over again.
Yep.
Same thing here, right? The market's failing to break these levels. So I do anticipate some good movement.
100%. The more it consolidates, get a nice big move out of that.
Yeah. And then
Especially I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's also like small details like this, like the candles
Exactly.
not the lows.
I was just gonna say that, yeah. Making higher lows. This
Yeah.
candle closed bullish. Nice strong candle too.
Not a top wick or anything like that.
No.
Nice movement.
Yeah, it's failing to continue down.
Yeah. And so another thing that we do here is I'll be like, okay, this way I'm going to take an entry. Here's my stop loss. Here's my TP. But it's also like, if any of the students, they want to take an entry, then just unmute and be like, hey, I want to take an entry here. Here's my stop loss. Here's my TP. And then we analyze all of it and then go through it.
I meant to say something last night. Like I love the way you guys backtest. I started implementing the same thing. It only makes sense. Like that's awesome. Like everyone gets to pick their own trade. It's not just everyone just watching me trade.
Right.
People get to participate, and when you participate, you're more engaged into it, and you're learning more. So I think that's great that you guys do that.
It builds up the confidence as a whole for everybody.
Oh
So they
yeah.
taking a trade, they see like, okay, what was the thought process, that kind of a thing,
Yeah.
and being able to implement the same exact thing into live trading.
And you get an idea of how they think too, which is cool. I mean, you do on a daily basis when you're trading with them, but at the same time, like when you guys are back testing, you get to analyze a little bit more. It's you're not like your emotions aren't as tied into it, and you're not kind of distracted by the market trading live. It's more of a simulator, and you're kind of chilled a little bit more. So
Yeah.
that's cool. It's good to hear people talking when they're not so emotionally invested.
Absolutely. And so I made a box here because this is exactly where I see the candles like closing, not closing above it, below it, anything like that. So it tells me that even here, the market's struggling, but it's still respecting this little consolidation as a new support.
I'm gonna record a little video for us.
All right. So this is like 1400, and I think this is when news comes out. So I'm actually gonna pause that as soon as like it hits 1400. I think this is when the news came out for interest rates.
Trying to tag you. Nice consolidation.
Yeah, very nice consolidation.
A lot of people look at this and they get so bummed. They're like, oh, I don't see a trade today and can't trade today and not seeing anything I like. Whoa, we got news.
This is when the interest rates news came out, where they maintained it, but still we have the overall, what's the economic state, right? And that is the optimism. So if I pull up the monetary policy report, so this is when it would come out. So this is when we would pull it up, take a look at what's going on. So maintaining, again, talking about inflation real quick, in a way that I help sustain employment and growth. As we continue back down, they're going to maintain the monetary policy. So that tells you that they're not increasing the quantitative easing. They're not going to pull back on anything. They're just going to maintain it, right? So it doesn't bring in too much of pessimism or anything like that, or market fear that, man, they have to keep injecting money to keep this economy going. But it also doesn't bring in that entire optimism of the economy is doing great, so they're pulling away any quantitative easing. So they're maintaining it at the moment. So that keeps some sort of stability for an investor or as a consumer or anything like that. So they voted to continue with their existing program of their bond purchases, maintaining the target for stock of these government bonds. And then what I'm really looking for is what's their outlook for employment? What's their outlook for the economic activities or growth? So that's what I'm really looking for when I'm going through this monetary policies.
Yeah, these are interesting to read through.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they tell you exactly what they're looking for. So the labor market indicators. Yeah, go ahead. You were saying
No,
something?
no, I was just, I don't know. I
Okay.
don't shaving my lips, whatever you call that.
So here they expect the GDP is expected to fall by around 4% in the first quarter of 2021. Labor market indicators, they're still difficult, and that's because they're also paying these people, right? They're paying firms basically. They're saying like we're gonna pay 80% of their salary, and this is an incentive for these firms to not let go of their employees just because they can't afford them. But GDP overall is projected to recover rapidly, so that brings in the optimism. The vaccination program is assumed to lead to an easing of COVID-related restriction, so that brings in optimism, right? Growth slows as the boost from these factors fade. Let's continue.
CPI inflation.
So you're going to see this in every single monetary policy, not just the UK. You see the same exact thing in US. You see the same exact thing in the euro. You see the same exact thing in Japan, right? That the outlook for the economy remains on the path of the pandemic, right? So it's up to the pandemic. But obviously, we know that they're doing pretty well with their vaccinations.
Yeah.
So that brings in the
Which is
optimism.
huge. So
Right.
they're basically saying everything depends on, this thing ending.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and they don't intend to tighten monetary policies until there's clear evidence. And this is where you start to see like what are some things that they're looking at. That there's a significant progress being made in eliminating spare capacity and achieving 2% inflation target. So what does that usually mean? What are they talking about in this entire monetary policy? Until labor market conditions, they become a little bit more apparent of what's going on there. Looking at GDP, for example, is it actually growing? So they expect it to contract, but if it increases, then obviously that brings in more optimism. So those are the things that they're looking at. Unemployment, right? And then looking at what's the vaccination program like. So that's bringing in the optimism. So we have this huge spike from news.
Yeah, that's a nice, damn.
Yeah. So what I want to see is at least the 5-minute close. If the 5-minute closes and this thing is still bullish, where it's not even flipping bearish at all, that's where I look for that impulse entry.
Can we, what's it called? Zoom out real quick.
Yeah.
Can you repeat that, Sharma?
For which part?
The impulse entry.
Yeah, so for the first 5 minutes after the news comes out, so this is when the news just came out. So I'm gonna wait for the first 5 minutes. If it closes, or if after the 5 minutes, if this candle is still bullish, where it's not flipping back down bearish, if it's not breaking the lows that we have created here, then I could look for an impulse entry, because that tells me that now you have a ton of buyers sentiment that's kicking in. So these are the wicks that I'm taking a look at.
Oh, okay. So like at that level, you don't necessarily look for this, right? You're just like, boom.
Yeah, so that would be an impulse entry. So once the 5 minutes are over and like for the candles here, but it's not flipping bearish or anything, then I could look for an entry with a stop loss somewhere down here below the wick. And that's me saying like, okay, if it flips bearish and it breaks the previous wicks that it has here, chances are it's going to continue back down bearish.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So go ahead. Zooming out.
Yeah, if you could actually just go to the 4 hour, I think the 4 hour would be perfect. Yeah, so if you could zoom out one more time. Let me just annotate real quick. Yeah, this is actually one more time. This I'm trying to see what I was seeing at the time, because I remember this news kind of coming out and it worked out perfectly, where it was kind of just bouncing off this level. Why am I not seeing it the way I did? Maybe it was from here. I just remember us being in a channel,
Mm-hmm.
right? We were in like this perfect channel, just pushing up. And we were, this was such a critical area right here. And it just so happened to line up with that news coming out. Yeah, February 4th. That makes a lot of sense. I forget what we did around here. It's somewhere in my journal, but this is, yeah, I remember this just lining up perfectly, calling this out. This is okay, Thursday. So I remember price creating its highs up here in the beginning of the week. And then, as history repeats itself, we create these highs, comes right back down, creates the low, comes right back up to retest the high. So over here, we're like, okay, we're looking for some kind of a support to be formed right over here to drive price right up. News ended up pumping in. Perfect. It lined up perfectly. So that's why these key levels are so important for you guys to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That was the perfect example of using technical analysis and fundamental analysis together.
It's funny how it lines up like that almost all the time.
Yeah. And it's also like, how do you take advantage of it too?
Exactly. Damn, man.
Yeah. So I'm going to wait for the first 5 minutes, see where we're headed. Is it going to flip bearish? Are we going to break below this? And I never risk like more than like 1 to 3% on a trade. So I'm
Why
going
does it
to
seem like it's moving so quick and the time isn't going by as quick?
every second counts, right?
Yeah, you're right. All right,
So-
5-minute closed.
Yeah. So the 5-minute close, super bullish. We did see it kind of flipping bearish, but it never broke the low of the previous ones, right? So that's telling me that there's going to be a ton of volume that's coming in. So this is pretty much where I would look for the entry and then placing the stop loss here. So maybe if it fluctuates a little bit more, obviously I would like an entry somewhere down here. So my stop loss is much tighter.
Did you catch gold at all this morning?
I caught it. We had a trade running from the previous London session that we had. I think it was London or New York session, one of those. And I was like, all right, here's my TP. So I didn't trade. I think it was like 2 days ago when we entered this. And then it hit like TP3. We had 1795. We had 1800.
Yeah, I did see you were in that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember that trade. I only took one entry on it, and then it hit my trailed stop loss, got off the charts, and then about 2 hours later, I saw it had passed that, but I didn't have no alert set.
You're talking about this one or this morning?
No, the one we took about 2 days ago, or like,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
guys are killing it with these swings.
this is where I'm gonna keep my stop loss. So it's like about 18 pips from entry, but I'm keeping it right below the wick, so it has room if it does want to flip. But if it goes any further than that, then it's breaking all the wicks to the left, and I know that's gonna go bearish after that.
Yep.
So about I think it was like 142, 857 or something like that. You want to take an entry?
I'm gonna wait for the candle to close above that resistance right there.
All right, all right.
What was I gonna say? Have you ever used visual mode on here?
I
feel like I keep like telling you what to do on here. My bad. If you try visual mode, it's like using magic keys. So if you hit buy, you get to place the lines. And then I've watched your backtesting sessions before. When you go to adjust the trade, you can also use visual mode as well. Like where do you want to put your stop loss instead of typing the numbers in? It just saves time. It's thought you
awesome.
might like to know.
And this is like the TP's up top here. So
Yep. And then you can just drag them wherever you want, just like magic keys.
So let's say we're already making a high here. So let's say we even go like somewhere up top here to make a new high. So I'm just looking at the overall structure. I'm just trying to see what the structure is doing, looking at 4 hours much cleaner, right? So thought process here is got that entire bullish structure.
Yep.
We have highs that are being made, right? Comes back, retests the structure, new highs, retest the structure, new highs, retest the structure. So now if it's going to continue bullish, I know that at a minimum, it's going to come back and it's going to try to tap into the previous highs. But now it's like, okay, how far do I think it could go in order to make a new high? So this is still trying to be a little conservative, but I would say like somewhere up here until maybe it pulls back a little bit more and then continues bullish. Make sense?
Yep.
That's awesome. And then stop loss, my entry is going to be based on the 15. So my stop loss is always going to be on my 15. So what I do is I'll keep my entry and my stop loss. My stop loss is always going to be on the same exact time frame that my entry is on. And then my TP, if I want to let it run or anything like that, then I'm going to keep my TP on like a 4-hour or like a daily time frame, things like that. Does anyone else want to take an entry before we move forward?
It's not.
All right.
It's always great when oh wow, you didn't risk much on this.
Yeah, it's just between 1% to 3%.
Yep.
And this is a $500 account. So this is also another example of how do you just risk between 1% to 3% and grow your account using the same exact strategies across time frames.
What's the lot size that it gave you?
7 cents. Starbucks money. So you got a ton of volume coming in just from this consolidation plus the news.
It feels like with it flipping like that, it just feels like the speed that it's going, the spread should just stop you out from the speed of how fast it's going. It's like it should be taken out. It almost bearish.
My current broker, my broker will not take me out until like price pushes right past my stop loss. So even if like it's just right above it, like a micro pip or anything like that, like I'm still in the trade.
Wow.
All right, so we got a nice bullish close. We got a little range. Started off with no bottom wick.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we're just pushing.
So what do you have taking partials at this point?
I would take partials once we tap into this area right here.
Okay, because sometimes I feel like I may take partials a little too soon.
Mm-hmm. Because now exactly like, this entire analysis that we've been doing from like 4 hour, 1 hour, 30 minute, 15 minute, the fact that we sat at a very key level, we consolidated at that very key level, and now we have news that's supporting this move. So we know at the minimum, it's going to go and it's going to tap into previous highs.
Yeah. Can you bring it down to like the 5 minute?
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't let me on here.
I think if you go, if you select the 5 minute on there and then hit add. It doesn't even show. It doesn't even show it there.
No.
Huh, that's weird. Oh well.
Are you using MetaTrader as well? Does it give you the same exact issues?
A MetaTrader?
Yeah, MetaTrader.
With which issues? The 5 minute?
Yeah, so like for SoftFX, when it tells you to choose between, it's like MetaTrader, there's like Duca's copy, and there's like.
Oh yeah. I use Duca's copy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I use MetaTrader. It won't let me use Duca's copy. I tried doing it.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't let me do it like you're using MetaTrader.
When you go to download the pair in the data center, do you select Duca's copy?
I've tried selecting it, but it won't let me even like come onto the simulators page.
That's weird. Go, if you email them, they're very good with support. Just shoot him an email and he'll either fix it for you or figure something out to do.
For sure, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to them because like just having the news on here would be perfect on day of.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, just texting someone back. 1 sec.
So we got the 30-minute close. Above that, you have a bottom wick rejection. So if I'm looking for, let's say, another scaling opportunity or anything like that, I want at least the 15-minute to close bearish right above this level. So still rejecting it, even if it makes a bottom wick rejection, that's fine. But I want it to close above this level. Or if it closes as a doji, so it closes as a doji or closes like as a bullish candle without breaking the highs, that tells me, excuse me, that price, that there's a lot of bullish momentum in the market at that time, and that price is going to continue bullish, but it's just that you don't have enough, like, I guess, sellers dominating at that time or anything like that to flip the candle bearish and make it close bearish, if that makes sense. So
Yep.
right now what we see is a ton of bullish volume.
100%. Now, normally, if I miss like the news move like this, I normally like to trade the reaction to the news. I don't normally trade like when the news comes out. So obviously the news was very bullish. I'm not trying to take any sells up here, but I'm looking for some kind of a support to form to take price out. That's why I was seeing if we could look at the 5-minute and take something like this.
Yeah.
Actually, if you zoom out real quick, what is this? Okay. So right here, actually, you can zoom in one more time, I think. You might be able. Yeah, there we go. Let me just hide this. If you could just move the box real quick. There you go. Obviously, price was respecting this bearish trend. We were in. I guess you could put it right there. We were in a bearish trend over here, printing lower lows, lower highs over here, and now price is breaking it. So I want some kind of a level to break over here to be retested. So over here, you might be able to see that on the 5-minute with so much momentum coming in, a clean support formed with this wick on the 5-minute, the 1-minute, and then you could take this out for at least 10 pips right up to this level right here.
Right.
You got the fundamentals right behind you. So that should give you confidence where you could at least grab part of this move, and at least you waited for some kind of a retest before entering it, not getting FOMO that you missed it.
Right. And another thing is, like, even if you don't get a retest, because you see that happening with JPY pairs, and you see it happening with gold as well. So safe haven commodities, where if you have so much pressure, like bullish pressure, for example, in this case, if you have so much bullish pressure and the first confirmation that you have is this candle here, it made a bottom way projection, but it did not have enough bearish volume for it to close bearish, right? Close bullish, and the next candle, as you can see, has a ton of volume. So when there's a lot of volume like that, and you're getting these indications, like for example, this candle closing like this, the chances are these safe haven currencies and commodities, they'll sometimes just consolidate. That's market collecting order, right? And then they'll keep pushing in the direction. So you see that happening in gold, even right now. You see it happening on GJ, on EJ, and things like that. So either the market collects orders when it retraces, and that's like correcting the entire bullish move, exactly what you're saying, right? Retracements. So that's one way for the market to collect orders. The second way is just consolidate, because the pressure is so much that the market cannot retrace, right? So it consolidates and then it continues pushing. So same exact thing that we saw happening here. But even then, wait for those bottom way projections and things like that.
100%.
There's always like two things that you could look for. So there's never like, if it continues pushing, then I'm definitely going to wait for that pullback. Sometimes you don't get pullback, right? Because the pressure is so much.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's what kind of happened this morning. And we were looking just like this morning. Obviously, I watched the whole move, saw what gold did, and I'm trying to look for an entry. And when price was up here, it was printing candles like this. And to me, these candles were starting to get weaker. So I was like, okay, I'm going to wait for some kind of a support to form. It could be just like a wick like this, but I didn't have enough confidence in the fact. Plus, we were at a resistance. I didn't have enough confidence that price would. I didn't want to be calling tops, basically, or not calling tops, but buying the high or buying too late. So I was just like, all right, I'm just going to wait for some kind of a support. Price created a support. At some point, I know a couple of people caught the sells. There were two solid bearish candles that closed, and then all of a sudden you started to see the 15-minute start to reject. You got smaller candles printing, and then you got a wick that came all the way down, and then this candle closed bullish. I know my art isn't too good right over here, but just using arrows. But once the next candle came down and created its bottom wick and then flipped bullish, perfect entry with a clean move to the left that you get it taken up, and I grabbed like 50 pips on that, and that was the morning. I waited for the reaction to the news. The news happened, missed that move. That's cool. And then I'll just wait for that support to be formed. You catch it later in the day with the last piece of volume in the morning and take that up. But obviously we missed this one.
There's gonna be more opportunities. There's always
Exactly.
opportunities in the market, right? So like
Yeah.
there's no ever like, so this is when I would start looking for partials. So I would close part, close 50%, and then move to break even.
Beautiful.
Or rather, I would trail the stop loss. So what is that, visual mode? So I would trail the stop loss here. I would just do it at 143, let's say 153. So I'm still giving it enough room to correct this massive movement that we just made, right? The market's always going to correct itself.
Yep.
So correct that move. I'm still giving it enough room, but if it breaks below that, I don't want to be back into a consolidation area holding the trade.
With visual mode on, I think you can just click on the stop loss and drag it.
Yep.
There we go.
Do you like that, or would you rather type it in?
No, I like this.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure if you did.
So far, it's an 8% equity increase in this entire push-up.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. So now what we're going to look for is, again, that pullback. Before I look for any like scale-ins or anything at this point, is exactly what Stefano said. Wait for that pullback, wait for some sort of support to be formed, and then wait for price to push back up. Or if price simply starts consolidating because we have massive pressure, like bullish pressure from fundamentals aligning, positive fundamentals, along with technical analysis, all of that. If we have consolidation, then again, I would wait for some sort of support to be formed like we had down here, where price was still respecting support. So wait for that. And then as it continues bullish, starts breaking previous highs as we did here, that's where I would look for that entry.
100%. Yeah, this is just like anywhere in here is like a sweet spot. Like if we start forming a support, maybe consolidating, like you said, but any kind of support formed, look at it go. Yeah, at some point it's gonna retrace.
Yeah. Just wait for like any support to be formed. Get your confirmation across time frames. Yep.
Yeah, that's the previous high up there, so should be it's going to the moon. Yeah.
So I think it's like somewhere up top here, we grab like 80 pips, or like here's the arrow actually, 86 pips.
Like you're saying, you're gonna close the full thing?
No, so from entry to where we took partials,
Oh yeah,
it was like 86 pips, 87 pips.
perfect. Take that any day, right?
Yeah. See, now that's like so much. When you look at the equity percentage, and where I was like, oh, we got like an 8% equity percentage, it makes you feel good, but it also like tells you like I'm growing my account slowly. If I were to look at the monetary value right now, where it's like $18, then I'm gonna be thinking like, man, that's nothing, right? And that's when you get into that like emotional cycle of, well, I'm gonna start trading a little bit more. I need to have more money. I'm trying to make at least like $50 off this, session or whatever it is. You get stuck into that like emotional cycle, right? Where you start getting greedy. You get greedy and then you end up over trading. Once you start over trading, you start losing. Once you start losing, you want to revenge trade. And then you get to this point of like, maybe I don't know how to trade, right?
Yep.
People.
Eventually it gets to that.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they're like, because of that cycle, because they're not able to break out of that cycle, they're like, man, Forex trading is a scam. Right? That's where you see a lot of that happening. But it's like, don't look at it from a monetary perspective. Look at it equity percentages. If you're gonna go work in finance, people aren't gonna be like, oh, how much money did you make? They'll be like, oh, what's your equity percentage? What's your return?
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely start feeling like more like a businesswoman or businessman when you start talking about your equity percent gain. Like the other day when I was on the chat and I was like, oh, I secured 2% for the day. Like I felt, like I felt good. I wasn't really looking at the money. I was just like, I just did the math. I was like, okay, 2%. I could have had more, but trail stop loss, risk management was there, and that's what made me proud.
Yeah.
It's a great point. Yeah, the percentage is definitely huge. A lot of people pay too much attention to the money, and that's what caused you to blow an account.
You read any like institutional trader like research or like paper, article, whatever, like listen to a podcast, they all say the same thing, where it's, if you're working for a bank, your goal really for the day is just to make 1%. If as a retail trader you can make 2%, 3%, 4%, we've just made 8% off this trade. We're still winning, right? Yeah, our account isn't like millions of dollars or thousands of dollars or anything like that, but we're building the skill sets that you need. So then when you have a larger account, it doesn't get easier. Trust me, it doesn't get easier. From like $100 account, when you flip it to $1,000 account, 10,000, 100,000, million, 2 million, whatever, it does not get easier. Your responsibility just increases towards yourself to make sure that you're following the right strategies and you're not blowing your account.
Yep.
It only gets harder. So build
Absolutely.
a foundation.
Yeah, the drawdown would be heavier too. So it's like, can you really, deal with seeing that
Yeah.
big of a red number?
Yeah. Like if you can't see like a $50 loss, you're not going to be able to handle a $50,000 loss, even though it maybe only be a 2% equity loss,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so we're waiting for some sort of support to be formed and then continuation.
Yeah, not many people feeling good about the pound, huh?
There was a ton of like just pressure on pound, like from, I think it was like November when they started talking about Brexit coming to a close.
Mhm.
From then it was just like, it was continuing bullish, but it was a lot of consolidation that was also happening along the way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, remember those times? Brexit?
Yep.
Crazy.
Good times, good times.
Better times. Now we got to deal with the virus and everything else going on. The global pandemic.
Yep. All right, so we got a bear close. Let's see if we can get some sort of support to be formed.
Seeing if any guys are available to come on in.
Yeah, for sure. So you have a little bit of struggle happening here. So obviously some sort of retracement trying to happen, but clearly, we still haven't broken the lows or anything like that. Like with a lot of volume, I would at least expect to be sitting probably somewhere in this area, or at least making some sort of bottom wick rejections. So this tells me that there's still bullish pressure, but we might get like some sort of retracement to take us back up.
Get rid of my annoying horizontal line.
This is where the patience comes in, because you're like, like clearly there's a lot of bullish pressure. So should I enter? But you don't know, like, is price going to continue back down? Is it going to consolidate? Is it actually going to go your way? So this is where you really got to be patient. You got to wait for supports to actually be formed.
100%.
Pretty close to our TP level though.
I know. What now? Why did you put it up there? It was just random, or is that a certain level?
It's like this is where price is going to try to make a new high, right? We know that for sure.
Yep.
Now it's like, obviously it has to be above that level, so it's like I'm trying to be a little conservative. Well, overall this was like a 140 pip trade.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Yeah, so it's like, here's the high, pulls back, we're tapping into some previous levels, the crucial level, and now as price continues, we know for a fact that it was going to tap into previous highs, as it did right now. But now is it going to continue bullish? And we are going to make a new high, but like how far up? So I'm not trying to be too optimistic where we're going for like 200 pips, but it's like, okay, this seems like a good amount where price is for sure going to come around this range. Again, looking at the zone, it's going to come around this range, this zone, create a new high before it pulls back. If it does. Because a lot of the reason why I say if it does is because you have consolidation right here, right? Price came up, made a new high clearly, right? pulls back, but it's just consolidating in this area until it makes a support, and then that's when you see it push up. But again, the pressure is so much that you're not getting like this kind of movement, right? What you're getting is prices pushing, consolidating, pulls back a little bit, pushes up, consolidating, right? So that's what you have happening here. This is the only nice retracement that we have in such a long time.
Or then again, it always does this too. Kind of like the opposite. Where it like comes up, comes down, creates like a little consolidation in here, and then you come right back up to retest the high.
Yep.
I need some water.
Exactly. It's all keeping like the basics at heart. Like that's all it's really about.
Yep. So I'm looking for some kind of a support or the nearest support to be broken and retested to take sells. But I'm looking for a support to form to come right back up and retest these highs. There's so many buyers in the market. Some buyers are just cashing out right now. And this might be very similar to the trade I took this morning.
Isn't it crazy how you see the same exact setup or like some variation of the same setup happening over and over again across pairs, across like, you know, this happened months ago and you're seeing the same exact thing happening now and it's like May.
Yeah. And now what most traders don't want to do is wait for that setup to keep reappearing. They want to trade every single opportunity or trade every single setup that appears. Yeah, that would have been my entry right there. That's this is exactly what I traded yesterday.
So with a 2%, 3%, what are you gonna go in with?
You go 2%.
All right.
I'm not used to the candle moving so quickly, so I don't want to get stopped out. But yeah, you could put the stop loss. Yeah, perfect.
All right, and then TP.
Right at that top wick.
Right here.
Yep.
All right, awesome.
If you could just open the trades window.
Yep.
Awesome. I just like to see how many pips we're in profit.
Yeah, for sure. So you have volume dying down, clear support being made at this point, price pushing. I'm still gonna wait to see like, is it gonna continue above this? If it does, I wanna see that bottom wick rejection, something similar to what we have here, and then take that.
Yeah, if we get into I would probably have already secured up here. If this is 10 pips, yeah, I would have secured up here. I wouldn't have put my stop loss at break even maybe, but again, I'm still so not used to the so we're not at 10 pips yet, so I'd probably secure at 10.
Yeah, like up top here then.
Perfect. And what time is this actually? Eastern Standard Time.
So this is 4 a.m. PST, and then was 1300, I believe, or 1400.
Okay.
So this is 6 a.m. So I think it's 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Okay. Perfect. Got some volume pumping in.
Yeah. It's the New York session, NYC.
Oh yeah.
Another question that I usually get a lot is when I'm trading and there's fluctuation like this happening, like how do I handle it? So I want to ask you the same question.
Well, normally, I don't know if it's like MetaTrader, like you know how I get it from Dukascopy.
Yeah.
The way the candle's printing, I just feel like it's so different than like kind of what I'm used to on my SharmaFX. Like I'm not used to it going right back to the candle open so frequently. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean I could slow it down.
No. You don't have to because you know this is the way you guys trade. But we just reached that 10 pips, so I would have secured right there. Probably move my stop loss to break even at this point. Most of the time it gets stopped out, but yeah, I'm not losing anything. That's 2% right there, or almost.
And then you move to break even.
I would move to break even and cancel my take profit.
All right. And cancel it.
Cancel it, yeah.
All right.
Just to leave a runner.
Awesome.
Yeah, see, Alan is saying the same thing. I don't know what it is. That's interesting.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Stefano. My soft FX does it a little different with the Dukas copy.
Yeah, like it doesn't go back to like the candle open like that so many times, right?
Yeah, I feel like if the candles actually moved like this, it would drive me nuts.
And well, yeah, and I've watched Sharma. I've watched a couple of your backtesting sessions that you guys do and put on YouTube, which they're amazing. But I never really noticed. I always thought it was kind of normal when I was watching it, but never noticed until I was actually backtesting with you guys. But like I said, if you did want to see the other way, like the other way the simulator is, the way the candles move, just email. I forget the guy's name, but good guy. I'll take care of it for you.
I'll definitely email them, and then yeah, I mean, I didn't know
You
it was
want to get the news. That's the main thing, right?
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is that's funny.
Is it driving you insane or something?
No, it's not driving me insane. Like I'm basically used to it at this point. But it's just hard to manage risk, manage your trade when it's just shooting all over the place like that.
All right, that was break even, but
Oh,
still
shit.
1% equity increase.
Yeah, I got stopped at break even.
Yeah.
How many? If you can go, yeah. To see history, does it show you the percentage or it doesn't? Does it? Yeah, 9.7 pips secured. Yeah, it doesn't give you the percentage.
But we haven't really lost anything, but that's just like when price was fluctuating.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you're saying like the drawdown? The video is like in the way of that. I didn't see what you were looking at.
Right here.
Was it like the gross drawdown or something? Or
The absolute drawdown, the maximum
yeah.
drawdown.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So let's see if it breaks out of this resistance here, and then if it continues. If not, I would expect something similar.
Have you ever tried backtesting on TradingView, like with the rewind tool?
I have. It just goes through like the candles, so I wasn't a big fan of it. I like the fluctuation because it's like it's real time, right?
It
So
goes
that's-
through the candles.
Yeah, so like when I'm like clicking like next, or if I just let it like play out, it
Yeah.
just plays the entire candle. It
Yeah,
doesn't.
it does like 2 clicks, right? Of just
Yeah.
like the first half and the second half. Ah, so you don't like that, do you?
I don't.
Kind of similar.
It's because I like to see the wicks actually being formed.
Oh yeah, me too. That's why I use StefanosFX probably
Mhm.
90% of the time. If I want to like do a full week review, this might be a good practice for you guys too. But I like to journal all the trades I would have taken. Like even go back. Like I normally journal the trades I would have taken anyway. But like on like a Friday or Saturday, I'll go back and back test the entire week on TradingView, and just journal all the trades I would have taken, the trades that I already took. And basically backtest the same trade I took, or maybe do it a little bit differently the way I would have done it.
Yeah.
It's so key to always ask yourself, okay, what could I have done better? Like we were analyzing some of the trades in the group Trello today during the live session, and there was a trade that Matej took. He's out in Slovenia, but he took this trade. It was a great trade, but we dissected probably about 7 different things he could have done differently that would have made it a better trade. And as long as you keep looking at that and treating this like we said in the video yesterday, treating it like a professional athlete, you're going to be well off.
Absolutely. It's up to you at this point, right? When you're trading in this industry, it's up to you. How well do you progress? So you're in school, like you turn in an essay, right? And the teacher's there to tell you like, okay, this is what you did wrong, this is what you did right. In trading, you don't really have that. Unless you have a mentor, right? But like even the mentor, I can only give you like so many pointers, but it's up to you. Like, how do you implement that in your own trading?
100%.
Going back, taking a look at exactly what are the candles telling you, right? Why is, for example, if I'm looking at this, what I see is price kind of just being stuck in this range, keeps rejecting it. What I see over and over again is you got a top wick rejection, right? And it's like we're starting to come back down. We got a low. Is the low going to be broken? Then maybe we could look for some nice sells, that kind of stuff, right? Or is it just going to come back and kind of retest it and then be stuck in this range? Are the candles going to close here? So I'm looking at the rejection, but I'm also paying attention to where are the candles closing. That's what I care the most about in my trading, because it's like if the candle's closing in this range, then that's telling me that yes, price wants to go down. It does want to test the lows and all of that, but it doesn't have enough pressure. It doesn't have enough volume in order to close below it.
Exactly.
So that tells me something about the volume at that time or the candles at that time.
I know you guys trade a lot differently than I do, but did the way I took this trade make sense?
Yeah, like support being formed and then breaking the highs and then continuing bullish. So this is where your TP or your partial would have been with your TP up top at the wick.
So yeah, like where I secured right here, like made sense to you guys, and you know, with this rejection wick, this is basically perfect.
Right.
It's kind of what I look for almost every time.
Yeah. It made sense to me. Did it make sense to everybody else?
Yeah, that's, I know it made sense to you. I was seeing if it did to those
Yeah, it
guys.
makes sense to me too.
So right over here, you know, obviously we're in a bullish trend, right? And you know, we have this resistance here, and if you sold right now, you'd be calling tops. But my rule is I wait for some kind of a retest right over here to take price right back down. You know, the nearest support, you wait for that to break and then retest before you take this down. Normally, I don't want to take just an impulse entry. As soon as this candle closes bearish, you just enter this, especially because the fact it didn't close with a bottom wick to be filled. It closed with no bottom wick. So are we just going to reject this area and then continue right back up into the range? Or are we going to retrace and then print bearish candles and then take this right back down? But if we get a fake out, pay attention to price coming right back up to this. Okay, so we close below the support. Let me just get rid of this shit. We closed below this support with this candle right here. So are we going to come right back into this area? What I would want to wait for if this is a fake out is for price to retest right here and then take this right up. There's a high percentage chance that price is going to at least retest this high up here if you get a fake out like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there is a good chance if that price is going to break through the other side of the range, but most of the time it's at least going to tap this resistance, and that's where you can secure.
Absolutely. Another thing that I like to do is like once you have enough candles forming, then it's like creating a zone. Exactly where did that consolidation happen? So you have a couple of fake outs and all of that, but like where's the actual consolidation? So for example, if I were you to use this right here, the exact consolidation is right here.
Yep.
Right? Same thing here. So it's like, okay, well, if price were to break above this area, give me some sort of a retest or anything, then that's my entry to the upside. So yes, we have this fake out to the left that you can take a look at. But if price like broke above this, give me a retest right above this area, still respecting it, and then continuation, then it's like, okay, if I'm only scalping, I don't really care about like swing trading. That's like, okay, I could take partials here. I could probably take a TP here, let a runner go maybe up top here or something like that. Right. But zoning into exactly like what's the exact area of consolidation.
Makes sense. Wait, were you asking a question?
No.
Oh, okay.
I was just saying, like, I like to zone in exactly where
Yeah.
most of the price action is happening, because that gives me a better view of exactly what's happening there.
Yep.
So for me, this is the exact area where the market's collecting orders, pushes down a little bit, rejects, and then continues right
Yep.
back.
100%.
So what we see is like candles here kind of like dying down with their volume, failing to break the highs. So what I want to see is a clear break above this and then continuation.
Yep. And you're getting like a retest of this previous support right here too.
Right.
So if price starts to flip bullish, you take this right back up.
Yeah, so the exact area would be like right here as of right now.
Exactly.
Exact area right there. If price can break above that, continue bullish, then I want to see like some sort of a retest being formed right here and then continuation up.
I like it.
I think it's these like little things that you kind of learn on your own but it really helps you perfect your strategy, whatever it could be.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say too before.
Yeah.
You were talking about like there's a lot of things that you got to go through on your own. And yeah, see, this is where I would consider taking an entry. It's just again the candles are moving so different that I'm used to that, like, you know, once we grab liquidity right down here,
Mhm.
you could possibly take this out, but normally the candle isn't doing that. Sorry, I feel like I'm making like a video out of that.
No. We gotta do a simulation session on yours so I can just experience that as well.
Yeah, no, yeah, of course. Do that next time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think
You
this
guys
is
like that video? Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just seeing if they liked that video yesterday.
Oh, we got like a lot of comments on our video, and like
Did
a
we?
lot of people messaged me about it too. I'm pretty excited about it.
Wait, who else
it was,
messaged you?
it was really good.
The YouTube video that we did.
No, I know, but I'm saying who said something.
Oh, well, my cousin watched it. She messaged me, and then we had a couple of other people who joined in on our Instagram live. So I don't know if like they want their name mentioned, but I can send it to you.
Yeah.
And you know, they were like, "This is awesome," and like, you know, I'm really looking forward to it and all of that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Love to hear that.
Maybe I'll put this one in the series too, because we did talk about like a lot of things that we learned.
Oh yeah, no, this is you know, yeah, you could just definitely throw this in. If you could send me the recording too, I'll throw this out.
Absolutely.
Cool. It's the first time we back tested together.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to believe. You can do a live simulation on YouTube. Yeah, my computer unfortunately doesn't have the capability. It doesn't have enough RAM, and I can't upgrade the RAM on this computer. I have to buy a new computer.
I can try doing it next time we do a simulation. We could try doing a live one on YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that'd be pretty cool.
100%.
So here, another resistance kind of being respected still, right? So right into that zone that we've talked about, right into this area.
Yep. Got a bearish close, the 15-minute. Yeah, so you know, obviously we can ask you guys first. Is there any specific subjects you want us to go through?
Yeah, like what were some things that you guys kind of struggled with before, like you came across me or Stefanos or anyone else? Like what were some things that you kind of struggled with?
Exactly. Don't mind me. I'm just
Have fun with it. Have fun with it.
drawing.
Is that a question for right now?
Yeah.
Oh, for me, it was a lot of like patience, risk management, a lot.
Now, do you feel like you have a lot of emotions in the market?
I feel like I've gotten better. Actually, I have a page right here. It says I have like my trading plan, and one box is trading psychology. And I have quotes. It goes, "If you didn't have it before, then why get emotional about it now? Let it go. Look for the next opportunity." And then yeah, like that's a really big one that I learned when I joined SharmaFX.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try this though too. Every time that you're about to take an entry, ask yourself if that's an emotional decision or a logical one. Every single time you take a trade. And it's going to be hard in the beginning because you're going to forget it. So that's why you put it in your trading plan. But it's a very good question to ask. And a little bit more of a funnier question to ask is, would an idiot do this? Because a lot of times, a lot of people take those kind of trades where it's like, this could play out. Like maybe I'll just try this out. On those trades, either don't take them or massively lower your risk. But you know, those are the trades that kill you. Or you have a great morning, and then all of a sudden later in the morning, you're just like, maybe, you know, I see a setup I kind of like. I haven't really seen it too much. It's not my trading plan, but I'm just gonna take it anyway. I think I can make some money right now. Those are the trades that kill you. They kill your account, especially if you don't manage your risk. So just ask yourself, would an idiot do this? I got that from The Office. You know, Dwight asked, he had a little clip doing that, but it works.
Yeah,
That's-
definitely.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. But yeah, the main question you want to ask yourself is, is this an emotional decision? Am I getting in this because maybe I lost my previous trade? Am I getting in this because, somebody else sent the signal or they sent their chart and it's some random pair, some crazy minor or exotic that's, you've never traded before, but you see the setup. And I know, most of you guys have enough discipline where you're not doing that, but some people do. And but even on the smaller scale, maybe you're not doing those crazy things, but you're taking some of those impulsive entries, not an impulse entry where, an impulse entry would be right now where we got this candle closing above this little range right over here, and you get the retest and you take it as it passed the high of that candle right there. I'm not good with my arrows tonight. As it passes that candle right there after retesting, that would be an impulse entry. Impulsive entry is something that you open the charts right away at 6 a.m., 6:30 a.m., and you see your setup. Oh my God, that's my setup. I'm getting in this right now. That's an emotional, impulsive entry. It's better to come to the markets, check your fundamentals, check Forex Live, see what happened in the previous session. And then take it from there, and then do your top-down analysis. And if you see your setup, like, okay, do a full analysis, have your little checklist and your trading plan, and go from there.
Absolutely.
There's and I can name a couple things that you want in there, like, look at the time, look at the range that you're in, right? Look at how many pips do I have to play with right here? Or another thing is check all time frames right before you take a trade, because sometimes you wait 2 or 3 hours to take your trade, right? You come to the market, you don't see anything, and then 3 hours later during New York Open, you get some kind of a move, or New York Stock Exchange Open, you get the move that you were looking for. And by that time, you did a top-down analysis 3 hours ago. You forget what the 4 hour looks like, unless you keep all charts on your computer. But check all time frames before you enter that trade. Study the candles and wicks that happen right before that. Understand where price is rejecting. All these things, you could make this little checklist for yourself and make sure that you're hitting all of them.
I think that's straight facts right there. I mean, legit, like Stefanos has just given like a step-by-step at this point, right? Exactly, looking at like what to include, what to watch out for, all of that.
Now you know what the problem is? Most people take that trading plan and they last maybe 2 days with it. And all of a sudden, after 2 days, maybe 3, I'll give them 3 days, they start to deviate from it. They start to see other setups. They start to see different pairs that they want to look at, or somebody else sends something in the group, something like that. And they just want to take that trade and they deviate from the plan, thinking that that's their trading plan for the rest of their trading career, when it's not. That's not, like, that's just your rough draft.
Yeah.
Right? You can work on that. You can add a pair to it, but first you got to get consistent.
Absolutely.
You got to get profitable, and then you could start adding setups. You could add pairs. You can add time frames that you're looking at, different strategies. But the main thing is you want to implement that trading plan. And what do I mean by that? That's back testing at least 100 trades, maybe 100 sessions before you start trading in the live market with it, because you got to see if it works out.
Yeah, absolutely. So for example, in my case, any trading plan that I make a quarterly trading plan. So when I first made mine, like the very first one, it was, let me test it out for a month, right? 1 week, you might have a good week, you might have a bad week, whatever it is. So let me test it out for a month and stick to the same exact trading plan for a month. And also take notes along the way. Like every week, make a note of what worked that week in that trading plan and what didn't work. Right? For example, if I say 2-to-1 risk to reward, but I'm not able to hit that for whatever reason, then identify why aren't you able to hit that 2-to-1, right? Or identify why aren't you able to hit that 4-to-1? What's stopping you? And so that's why, like, whenever I tell someone, like, all right, let's make a trading plan or whatever it is, or I make my own, it's like a checklist. I have my pair, exactly what pairs am I going to trade? What session am I going to trade? I put down exactly next to my pair, is it going to be a scalp or is it going to be a swing pair? Exactly what am I going to do with that pair? Write down the risk. Write down what are my conditions. for any given trade, whether it's a scalp turned into a swing or just a swing or a scalp, I'll give myself 2 attempts. And if, for example, in the first attempt, it comes back, it hits stop loss, it hits break even, then I only have 1 more attempt left. What that does to me psychologically is it forces me to focus on my risk. It forces me to make sure that I'm making sure every single time frame aligns before I'm taking the trade, or the fundamental aligns before I take the trade. And then making sure that, okay, if it breaks below, for example, the reason why I pause this, and it goes right into it, it's awesome. But the reason why I pause this is because the exact zone that we had marked up right here. So this would be like my analysis, right? So we have the exact zone. This is where the most of the consolidation is. We have a little break and retest here. And now if I were to go up to, let's say, the 30-minute time frame, we have the same exact thing, right? Where you had that little zone that we marked up, and now price is giving us a break and retest above it. So looking at those kind of things, where's my exact confirmation? Why am I taking this trade? Exactly what you said, Stefanos. Just thinking about, like, is this an emotional trade, or is this like an objective analytical trade that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Looking at my strategy, I have my strategy, all my strategy listed out. It's like a check mark kind of a thing. I shouldn't have to think. I have my trading plan there already.
Yep. Absolutely. Takes all emotion out.
Yeah.
And when you're in the market, you're looking for possible entries. You have your main bias, and then you have that secondary bias. If price does this, you're gonna do this. If you want to be a robot in a way, you want to be fluid, but you also want to be a robot. And then once you're about to enter that trade, before you enter it, you better have like an exit plan. All right, where am I closing 50? Price does this, I'm doing that. And then this is where I'm securing. And that'll take the emotions out of your trading, especially and even more when you're looking at the percentage instead of the money. Hide your P&L.
Absolutely. So there's actually a document. It's the overview of risk management. It's by the Federal Reserve. And in there they say that any institutional trader, and that's like how I like to think of it, because that's how I want to trade, right? I always think of institutional traders.
Yeah.
But it's like they have an entire list of, this is what an institution's, whether it's like the executive or whoever it is, these are the things that you're looking out for. They actually list out everything for you. All you have to do is translate it for a retail trader.
I'm trying to find this now. Overview of risk management at Federal Reserve.
Yeah, by Federal Reserve. So real quick, what I'm doing here while you're looking for that, Stefanos, is I marked up the resistance that we have marked up, or we have on the 30-minute time frame, right? So this is the level where price was consolidating. You have a nice little break and retest above it. You look to the left, that was the previous resistance as well. Going up to the hourly, same exact thing. Price consolidated right into that zone of resistance in the past.
Yep.
So this is the same level that price rejected. Price is consolidating. We're making a bottom wick rejection to continue bullish. And on the 30-minute, that was a break and retest that we saw. So there's a very high chance that price is going to continue bullish from on here.
You have, obviously, GJ's been so bullish over the past couple months. At this point right here, we would kind of have to look to the left to see the next destination. So do you know if we can go back that far? Do we have enough data?
No, it doesn't give it to me.
Okay.
I could zoom out though.
If you go to the daily, maybe you get it.
Not even on the daily.
So another little pointer for you. If you know the bottom of, like, when you open a new session on SFX, you do all your parameters and SFX, SoftFX. You do all your parameters. At the bottom, it asks you how much data you want or how many candles. I forget what the exact window is, but if you click like 1,000 or type in like 1,500, something like that, it gives you as much data as you want. In the beginning, I was only doing like 100. And
I do right now like 150, but let me try out like 1,000 next time and see if we get more data.
Especially with GJ being the way it is while you're back testing this in February, we've had to, it was kind of annoying trading GJ back then, because like you got to go all the way back to find out where your next level is going to be. So, yeah, this looks like great price action.
Yeah. So even on the daily time frame, what we have is, let me pull that up.
Here it is. Wait, can you click the zoom in real quick? I'm just gonna do something for you. This is what I was trying to figure out earlier. This is where my trend line was. and I was using this wick right here as like, okay, price is tapping off that area. Now we're getting price right in here with those fundamentals coming in. We already got the new high formed. And that entry that you took was the one that I went back and I back tested and I said, okay, where can I take this entry next time if I'm going to trade the news? And it was the exact same one that you took.
That's awesome. Awesome how it plays out.
Yep.
So
Yeah, that was bothering me. I'm trying to figure out where my trend line was and how, like, I pointed that out back a couple months ago.
Mhm.
But yeah, the 4 hour and the daily, they're nice to draw those on.
Yeah, absolutely. So like exactly the trend line that you have. When I'm looking for that entry now, just going from like different time frames, doing that analysis, you have that entire consolidation in this area. We come up, great new highs, right? Testing the previous high levels here, pulls back, and it's like some sort of a test of structure that we have with this bottom wick, right? And then as price continues bullish, same exact thing, you have a test of structure. And then now this is where we get like that clean pullback right into that area, right into this level, rejection. And now price is continuing bullish. So this tells me that as we're passing up these highs, there's a very high chance, we're already like so close to our first TP level, but there's a very high chance that price is going to try to come up, try to create new high levels before it comes back and pulls and tests the low of the structure again.
100%.
So
And
that's
also,
yeah, go ahead.
keep in mind how weak the yen was too at this time. Like they were behind on everything when it comes to COVID, vaccines, locking down, all that stuff. Like they've been so far behind, and that's why we've seen GJ just shoot to the moon.
Yeah. I mean, for Japan, they just started their mass vaccination. At this time, there were people scared about certain vaccines, and it's because of the news about blood clots and all of that happening. A lot of the population of Japan was kind of scared of taking the vaccines. They just started doing that, like in the past month or so.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then
stuff.
looking at also the 4 hour, let me zoom in a little bit more here. So you have some sort of a break and retest forming. So you have that resistance overall zone. You have that retest, break and retest candle that's forming right there close as a bearish doji. And now the new candle is breaking. So now I know that gives me a confirmation. So you know when you earlier asked me, why did you place your TP at that level? So this is like another confirmation of like, okay, price is going to continue bullish, is going to try to make a new high before it pulls back down. And then 1 hour, you have the same exact thing, and then 30-minute as well. So with a setup like this, I would probably go in with a 2% risk again after taking partials and being risk-free with the first entry.
Yeah, I love how you have your logo behind you.
Behind what?
You know,
Oh,
your logo is behind you.
Oh, my video. Thank you. Yeah, so I would keep my stop loss still pretty tight, just like about 12 pips or so. So I would keep it right below, whenever I take the entry, whenever there's like a resistance or support, anything like that being broken, I keep my stop loss right below that broken support so that I give it still enough room so it can make bottom wicks or anything like that. But I keep it tight enough so that if it does flip, then I don't want to be part of this consolidation, or if price drops back down, then I don't want to be part of that. So I would keep that, let's say, about like 11 pips.
Yeah, I like that setup a lot too.
Yeah.
It's a perfect setup, perfect place where the candle is too, like where price is right now, because that's where I'd be taking this is as price broke the high of that candle, anticipating a breakout.
When would you move your stop loss on your first entry that we took, the one that's already trailing?
Right now. So right after I set this one up, because at this point, if I'm taking an entry up top here, I'm just going to trail it. So if price does reverse back down, then we know that it's going to come back into this range here. Does that make sense?
We're talking about the trailed stop loss that's way, oh wait, hold on. Yep, makes sense. We're on the 4 hour chart.
Yeah, awesome. So the reason why I'm keeping a TP a little bit higher than this, higher than the first entry, is if price continues bullish, then again, just leaving a runner, see how far it goes, and then trailing the stop loss to see like where's price going to make a new high. So like probably somewhere up top here, like do 800 flat. I love doing whole numbers. That's another thing with me.
Like whole numbers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, so now we're gonna drop back down to the 15. Does anyone else want to take a trade here?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the same one, but stop loss maybe a little bit tighter.
All right, where would you place it? Right here?
Just like couple more pips down. Yeah, right there.
All right, and then TP?
TP could just it could be random. You just put it at like 144 or 145. Yeah, no, that's good.
All right.
I normally delete my take profit anyway. I just leave a runner, let it go. I secure at certain points.
That's risk-free at another level.
What's up?
I said that's risk-free at another level.
Yeah.
So what I was asking about was actually this
Down here?
stop loss right
Mhm.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, the previous trade. I figured that's what you were talking about.
I would. Visual, there we go. So I would keep it right above this resistance at this point. We've already cleared out all this area, still giving it enough room if it does want to pull back just to correct this move or anything like that. So essentially what I'm trying to visualize here is price pushing up. We've already created some new highs. So even if it wants to pull back, try to do some correction and then continue bullish, that's fine. But if it breaks any lower than that, then we're coming back into this range here. So any of this consolidation or this consolidation.
Makes sense.
Awesome.
Yeah, this is a perfect break and retest right here.
Yeah.
Very weak bearish candle right there.
Mhm.
There we go. Exiting the area.
Ton of volume.
What time is this?
This is I think it starts off at Asian session, so it's almost coming back to Asian session again.
Okay. Yeah, Asian. It's 0-100 for me for the start of Asian session. I believe is 6 or 7 p.m. for 0-100. Yeah, because I always get this mixed up. I always know the New York because I don't really trade the Asian, but I forget if it's 6 or 7.
Mhm.
Actually, you know what? It's driving me nuts. I'm gonna check right now. Sessions. Yeah, it's 7, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. And then 1300 starts New York for me.
Mhm.
Or actually 1300 is 6 a.m. 1500 starts New York at 8. So how many pips are we at right now?
We are in entries like right about here. So about 10, 12 pips in.
Okay, so I would probably secure right up there. That candle has no top wick right there. So that tells me there's not as much momentum. Yeah, you can secure 80%.
All right.
Uh,
And move to break even.
Yeah, or a little bit below break even, or just you know what, leave it where it is, and then if it comes back to my entry, I'll either close the full thing or close half,
All right.
depending on how price is going. But just leaving some room for it to breathe.
Okay. So
Working
I
on turning these into swings.
yeah. It's a whole another like once you're able to turn a scalp into a swing, like trust me, you're never gonna want to go back.
Oh, I know.
And
I
it
mean
makes
these equity increases that you guys have, like 100% or like 50-60% equity increases, just it makes sense.
yeah.
And what is that? Just not moving your stop loss?
Well, trailing the stop loss and then also just paying attention to structure. So when you're
Mhm.
scalping, you know how like you're like, okay, here's 10 pips, I'm gonna take partials or anything like that.
Yeah.
For me, I want to let a trade at least run to 15, 20 pips and
Okay.
then take partials there. And that forces me to focus on structure. So for
Okay.
example, that is one reason why I learned that in safe haven currencies or commodity pairs, price, if there's a lot of pressure, price will not sometimes retrace. it's going to consolidate because there's so much pressure there, and then it's going to continue pushing. So then like, okay, well, if there's consolidation, then how do I take that trade? How do I take the next scale in? And that's how, like, this is why like this entry came in, where it's like you're consolidating, you have a nice break and retest, and price is continuing.
Yep.
So I have someone here who messaged me, James. You could go ahead and ask your question. They want James wants our input on risk management.
Sure.
Hi everyone.
What's up,
Hello.
buddy?
So my question, or rather it's how do I put it? Or rather, I would like your input on something. I got the idea from you, Stefanos, about cutting my losses in half once it goes halfway to the stop loss. Automatically, I had you saying that during a conversation with Sharma. So,
nice.
So I've been simulating that scenario and a different scenario of not touching it at all. I've been getting a bit of, say, different results. So I find that you've also touched on, both of you, about being emotional and less emotional. So I find that when I put it at 50%, it kind of makes me a bit more emotional. Because when I watch, I've got a 50% loss, then now it makes me anxious. I want to come out of the trade. And yet sometimes I find that it could cut me half, but then go back up again all the way to my initial TP. Now, when I was doing my simulation using that, I found that my drawdowns were less, about say 6%, 4% over a period of a month. But then it also gave me higher win rates overall, about 70%. But now overall, my profits tended to be less, like about 8%. Now, if the other scenario is I wouldn't touch the SL and the TP at all. Usually put two TPs, 50% at TP1 and 50% at TP2. So when I was trying that one was less emotional. However, now the catch was it had more drawdown, I think about 8%, close to 10% sometimes. So it was kind of tricky. But then also it had less win rates, but again, it had also more overall.
More
profits.
overall profit.
Yeah. So I'm kind of confused between the between the two. One is but it's more stable in terms of results. But the other one is less emotional, but is also kind of making me very anxious with the drawdown. I don't know. Maybe I can get your input from both of you.
Yeah, no, 100%. The it's pretty interesting that you say that. It's you know that if price does a certain thing, or if you know your pair well enough, the candles. If you go into drawdown or go back to break even, there's a higher probability of price coming back to your stop loss and stopping you out. So this game is all about probabilities. I see it's forming some kind of a support here to continue up. But this is a game of probabilities where, again, if price does a certain thing, you're going to close 50. Now, in that time where you did close 50 in drawdown or price was doing a certain thing, did you ever see that there was an opportunity for you to re-enter and double your risk again?
I haven't tried that because again, I don't know. I haven't tried that, to be honest. I haven't tried that. I was just trying.
You have those rules in there, and what you should do is, I don't know if you're a scalper or a swinger, but you should have 2 trades per session. You come to the market, you got 2 opportunities. Now these are 2 trade ideas, not positions, right? So this is managing 50%, not emotional on 50. But less profit. Yeah, no, that makes sense. The way you guys trade, there's going to be a higher equity increase over a shorter period of time, just because you guys can stomach that stop loss or that drawdown. Right now, that's just the way I learned how to trade, became profitable with, and all that stuff was the way I trade. And obviously I don't make as much, but I eliminate that greed factor. Where like, all right, if price comes a certain way, I know in my rules that I'm going to do a certain thing. I'm going to close 50% because I want to cut those losses short. Risk management is so important when it comes to the way that I trade, where I'm just trying to grab 10, 15 pips a day. And if I leave a runner in there at break even, that's fine. but I'm not going to be growing my account as quickly as you guys though. But I need a higher win rate. Like you guys can survive with a lower win rate. So you're probably asking yourself, like, why would you trade the way that I am? It's just that everyone. What's up?
I'm not even asking myself why. I'm still confused because I'm still a bit of a newbie compared to the rest of the group. I just came in, I think 2 weeks ago. So I'm just trying to
started trading 2 weeks ago?
manage.
He came to the group 2 weeks ago.
Oh, okay, cool. Congrats, man. I'm sure you're loving it.
Yeah, I'm trying to just figure out how to properly manage my account. So
for me personally, if I have to close a trade at 50%, even if it's in stop loss, I'm no longer confident in that trade. So I will only take trades, and I've set this rule for myself, and I tell everybody else as well, like whoever I talk to, is only take trades that you're confident in. Once I close 50%, I know at that point what I'm saying to myself is it might go my way, it might not go my way. I mean, the market only moves like 2 ways, up or down, right? So it could go my way or it doesn't go my way. But once I close at 50%, I'm no longer confident in that trade anymore. Now what I'm doing is just waiting, like, okay, is it going to hit my stop loss completely, or is it actually going to go my way? Right now you're just waiting for your analysis to play out, or if it plays out. So from the beginning, what I do is I need to be comfortable with X amount of pips. Like if price were to come back and hit like my stop loss, I'm comfortable with it. So in the group itself, like one student like made a joke, and it's like, it's true. That's why it's my favorite, where she was like Sharma and her 5 pip stop loss. And that's because I keep my stop losses very tight. A lot of my trades, you're going to see them like 5 pips or like, you know, maybe 10 pips, but I don't never ever go more than like 20 pips on my stop loss. And that's because I keep it tight. And the reason why I keep it tight is because I force myself to think about and analyze the market in a way that what confirmations do I need to wait for? What confirmations do I need in general? So that if this trade goes like bullish, for example, then this is where I'm going to take a trade. Or if price comes bearish, then this is where I'm going to take a trade. So to put it into perspective, to kind of like show it visually, for me, what I needed to see after this huge push up is either a pullback, or I know that sometimes safe haven currencies consolidate, and yen is a safe haven. So consolidation, but zoning into that exact level of where's the consolidation happening, which in this case was right here. Once I got that break and retest, now it's telling me, as like the price is telling me, and when I'm doing my analysis, it's like, well, here price made a support, it's continuing bullish with this candle that we took an entry on. So this is where my risk is minimal. I could have kept my stop loss, you know, even tighter or right at the zone or anything like that. And that is something that I would have been comfortable with. So from the get-go, I keep my stop losses very tight. And that's because those are levels that I'm comfortable with, that if price were to, for example, tap into that 5 pip stop loss, I would have been fine with it instead of closing half and no longer being confident.
Yeah, no, the way you guys trade is way differently than I do. Like you guys can sit there and wait for your opportunities a lot longer than I do. Like in my psychology, like you can catch 10 pips a day easily on GJ. If your setup doesn't present itself, then you're not trading. That's fine. Right. But you can easily catch 10 pips a day, and that's what I'm trying to do. And this trade that I took before is a perfect example. Right over here, and a perfect example of why I secured at that high right there, because I would have been stuck in this consolidation, or I would have closed 50% at a certain point. No, I secured 80% of 10 pips. Stop loss got hit at break even. I just secured 80% of what I just grabbed. Someone that just asked a question. Let's see. Wow, we got a whole chat going on here. I didn't even realize. Where do you learn how to trade your style? Yeah, it's very similar to Rakil. Rakil, I've mixed Rakil's and Jevin, and my previous mentor back in Miami, when I first learned how to trade, he taught me how to swing trade, but he taught me all the basics and all that stuff. And so I've kind of, and then, you know, over time, just what Sharma was saying before, that, you know, we can say everything to you as a mentor, but there's certain things that you have to go through. So the same thing happened with me, trial and error. There's certain things that I do differently than Rakil or anybody else that I know that I've learned from. that I do my own way and the way I'm comfortable. And you guys, you know, like I'm sure Sharma preaches this to you, but like when you're in a mentorship or anything like that, most of the time the mentor isn't teaching you like, all right, you got to trade this way, right? It's most of the time it's like, let's figure out what works for you. This is how I trade. And if you're comfortable with it, do it. But let's figure out a way that's comfortable for you that you're able to trade. Like the guys in my group, we all trade kind of differently. Most actually there is a big shell of, you know, basically the same way we trade. Everyone understands how to read price action, and then they come up with their own strategies. Some people use fibs, some people swing trade, some people scalp, which is kind of frustrating because we do we're doing like a growth challenge, like a monthly growth challenge. So like the swing traders, obviously it's a percentage growth, so they're way ahead of the scalpers in terms of that. But it's still awesome to see everyone growing, creating their own strategy and all that stuff. But it all comes down to discipline and what you're willing to stomach.
So exactly what you said. That's exactly what I do on my first meeting. It's like, all right, tell me about yourself and what's your style of trading. So
Yeah.
Coming in, I mean, as a mentor, I think it's very important that you help your students push forward with what they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
You know, someone joins SharmaFX, I'm not like, all right, you got to trade this way, and this is it,
Or
right?
you're out.
Yeah, or like it's for me, it's like you came in, you've already been trading for a couple of months or whatever it is. You have a kind of a feel of like what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And if someone doesn't, then we talk through it. Like, okay, what's your schedule like? We have a lot of students who are, for example, medical professionals,
Same.
right?
Yep.
So I know that their
Tough schedule.
yeah, their schedule's gonna be busy. It's crazy, right? Someone
Yeah.
told me they work like 14 hours a day, and then it's like, all right, well, maybe scalping isn't the way for you, right? And talking about it, like maybe you should swing trade, because what I really push is don't work for trading, make trading work for you,
Oh yeah.
right? So don't give up on your sleep where you think like, I'm gonna come from work, I'm gonna trade for like 2-3 hours, I'm gonna sleep for 4 hours, I'll be fine. No, because you don't get the proper sleep, you don't get the proper rest, you don't get the time that you need for yourself, you're gonna be trash at everything that you do.
Yeah.
You're gonna be mediocre, like very mediocre in everything that you do. You're not gonna be performing well at work. You're not gonna be performing well in your relationships. You're not gonna be performing well, like you as a person are not gonna be functioning at the level that you want to be.
Exactly.
So making
Now
trading
you're
work for you.
optimal.
Yeah. And then making trading work for you. So that's the biggest thing, right? Understand like what are you as a person? What's your schedule like? For me, I can scalp with the team. That's why I switch every quarter and I make my like schedule work around that. Like what does my team need? And then outside of that, like I do a ton of different things, obviously. And then it's like, okay, well, I don't have time to scalp here, like every Asian session, New York session, London session. That's why we turn those scalps into swing trades. It gives you more freedom of time.
Yeah.
We also have
100%.
a similar challenge going on in the group. We started the April challenge and then we started doing the May challenge now. So every month there's like a different challenge.
Yeah.
I don't have an equity goal for them. It's like, okay, you can't lose more than like 4 trades in a month or something like that, because it forces them to like, again, look for those, that proper confirmation that they're,
Ooh, I like that.
yeah, like it forces you to make sure that you're looking for proper confirmations. You're not taking just trades out of nowhere, like emotional trading, revenge trading, any of that. So I have like an equity loss kind of restriction for them. And
Okay.
then I don't have like a goal, because again, like you said, some people are going to be scalping, some people are going to be swing trading. But it's like, if you meet these requirements, like you're a winner.
If you don't mind me asking, what are those requirements exactly?
Yeah, let
'Cause
me.
that sounds way better because I was trying to figure out how to set up this challenge. And then obviously like, you know, there's some people that are still on demo, some people on real accounts. So do the demo people count?
Yeah.
You know, are we going to do equity increases? Are we going to put a limit on how much you can risk? But then again, you know, you don't want to baby them either.
Right.
It's just, it's been difficult trying to figure out what it was. So we came up with the equity increase, but obviously that's tough when it comes to some people swinging and scalping.
Yeah. So the rules are that you can't have more than 4 losses per month. That's 1 loss per week.
Okay.
And then no more than 10% equity loss. So again, people are going to be trading like different account sizes, different lot sizes. So making sure that you're not losing more than 10% of your own equity.
Okay.
And then journaling is most important. So I have that like bolded. So that's the most important thing as well. You have to journal your before and your after, because
Okay.
then that makes you like exactly what we talked about in our discipline video yesterday, where it was, I do the before and after because I want to be sure of what's my mentality, what's my mindset going into that trade, and what do I need to change. Maybe the trade worked out perfectly fine, but my mindset wasn't there. Right? Maybe I need to switch something up, and then following your trading plan and being sure of it. So most of the students, I have created the trading plan with them, so I am aware of what their trading plan is like. Some people have shared it as well. So cross-checking that, like making sure that you're sharing your journaled trades, whether it's Trello or Discord or anything like that, with a complete analysis. So not even just like, here's my buy tool, here's my sell tool, and here's a zone. You got to put down like, what's your analysis?
Yeah.
Then when you come back after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you see the same exact setup, you know exactly what you're looking for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah, I might start implementing something like that. Only makes sense.
Absolutely. So it seems like we're doing a little bit of consolidation. You want to skip through?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So
Oh, we're coming up on Friday.
Yep. Got some consolidation happening here.
See, I'm holding my trade right over here, even though I didn't move my stops to break even. At this point, I probably will.
You want to move it to break even?
Yeah.
All right. I think this one's yours because I didn't take partials.
Yep. Yeah, that's where I see here. Yeah, there you go.
All right.
So now we're risk free. Go to bed.
Yep.
Exiting that area. Oh, I think that's mine.
Yeah.
Actually, no, I canceled mine. So I would probably secure a little bit up here too.
All right.
Close part. Just yeah, close 50.
All right.
Just let the rest go. And then here I go with my suggestions again. I don't know if you like the history on the chart.
Mm-hmm.
Do you like keeping that on there?
Yeah, sure. Why not? I
Oh,
look
okay.
at the end.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
No, not that. No, this is awesome. I'm saying, you know, these lines on the chart.
Right here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know you could get rid of those, or you did know that?
I didn't know that, but it's like at the end when I'm looking at it, it's like, okay, this is like how much you have running, and this is like how much profit you made. These are the
That makes
profits
sense.
and all of that.
100%.
I like seeing the data. I'm very big on data.
Yeah, no, it pays off, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right, and then we could check different time frames too. So 30-minute, you have a little consolidation pullback. It seems like we're trying to continue bullish. Same thing on the hourly. So we're pretty close. Even on the 4 hour, we have a little break in.
Oh, I do have a take profit.
Yeah. So you want to skip through on the 4 hour, see where we go?
Sure. Yeah, just leave the take profit there. Oh, we got a bullish big belt.
Oh, we got consolidation. Oh, pull back and then break even hit.
Cool.
But that was
Risk free.
25% equity increase right there.
Not bad.
So if we pull this up. So we had about 2 break-even trades out of the 12 that we've taken. Or maybe it's like actually 1, 2, 3, 4 trades. We took 4 trades and we just managed them by like either TP, partials, or the 2 that were hit by break-even stop loss.
Not one loss, was there?
Yeah, no loss.
Not bad.
And made $127. And again, it was all from risking between 1 to 3%.
Where were you guys? You guys didn't want to trade with us?
Yeah, like no one else came in and took entries.
Oh, well.
Maybe next time.
They wanted to watch the show.
Yeah. But yeah, so like making $127 and then looking at equity percentage of 25% equity increase in like 4 trades between 2 people, right?
Not bad.
And just between Thursday and Friday. So imagine if you had the same exact setups like Monday to Friday.
100%. Yeah, like I said, I'm looking to hold some of these trades a little bit longer, and I have been leaving my stop loss in its original spot and then just letting it go. Obviously, in the live market, it's a lot different than the simulator. So it's just obviously just letting them run and let them go.
Yeah, absolutely. But thank you so much for coming on, Stefanos. I really
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it.
Pleasure's
And
mine.
I think we shared a lot of like great stuff. If you guys have any questions, then feel free to reach out to me or to Stefanos. Even on Instagram, I'm pretty sure you guys know of his Instagram. It is StefanosFX.
Yep.
So just feel free to reach out, and I hope we can continue doing some more of these. I think it was amazing.
Yeah. Let's make these a regular thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll and then I guess I'll host one, and then we'll do it on my simulator so you can see the way it prints. This is a great sim session. Yeah, man, absolutely. Yo, Justin, that your last name is a town near me, Shrewsbury. It's a pretty nice town too. But I saw that. I was like, oh, that's pretty interesting.
You in Pennsylvania?
No, I'm in New Jersey.
Oh, there's one in Pennsylvania too. That's funny.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Do you know where that last name comes from?
I think England or Europe or somewhere over there.
Okay. Yeah, that does sound familiar. It's your last name comes from like where your ancestors are from or what their occupation was.
Right.
Mine's kind of interesting. Mine means pirate in Greek.
That's awesome.
That's kind of crazy.
Looting
What?
the markets.
What'd you say?
I say you're looting the markets.
Oh, I know. Yeah, robbing banks over here.
That's awesome. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. I'll share the video with you. And
Yeah, please do. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, and I hope everyone had like something that they learned from the video. I think both perspectives coming together, I think it was awesome. Putting like, how I trade, how you trade, seeing it all played out together. I think that was amazing.
100%.